Hey everyone, just a quick disclaimer before we start the video. I just want to make everyone aware that a video on this topic has already been made in a much more informative fashion on Celio's Network's channel. That video was the main inspiration for me making this video, but in no way is this video meant to copy, plagiarize, or steal credit away from Celio's video. This video is meant to be a combination of both information and humor in my own personal editing style, as well as this is kind of just a personal passion project. With all that being said, on to the video. When most veteran Pokemon TCG players hear the names of one or all the Sinnoh legendary trio, Arceus, Dialga, and Palkia, they might stare off into space for a few moments. Then, in the blink of an eye, they'll start ranting about what they believe was the singular most unfair Pokemon card in the history of the game. That card's name is Arceus, Dialga, and Palkia GX. It's a 280 HP basic Dragon-type Tag Team GX card, meaning that it has an extra special effect in its GX attack, and it gives up 3 prize cards when it's knocked out. At a first glance, this card doesn't seem all that great. 150 damage in a GX attack that costs 1 steel energy and does 0 damage? That doesn't sound like the full power of the Sinnoh trio. Now, some of you might already be scoffing because you already know what I'm going to say next. This card nearly single-handedly destroyed the Pokemon Trading Card Game in the most dominant and worst way possible. And it's pretty evident on why it's so game-breaking once you dive deeper into the text of the card. You see, Arceus, Dialga, and Palkia GX, or ADP for short, actually has 2 ridiculously broken attacks. The first, and surprisingly less broken attack, is the Ultimate Ray attack, for 1 water, 1 steel, and 1 of any energy, and it does 150 damage. It allows you to search your deck for any 3 basic energy cards and attach them to any of your Pokemon in any way you like. Comparing this to Arceus V-Star, the current standard format version of ADP, this is incredibly overpowered due to the specific restriction that they put on Arceus V-Star's Trinity Nova attack, in the sense that you can only attach to Pokemon V. Creatures clearly realized that Ultimate Ray was way too powerful due to the versatility that it had with any Pokemon in the game. We'll come back to how creatures kind of scaled back after this card, but for now, let's just continue talking about how absurd this card is. If you thought that Ultimate Ray was bad, you might want to sit down for this next part. Altered Creation GX. Simply mentioning this attack is like saying the name Voldemort. People will shoot you dirty looks, or cower in fear just thinking about it. Altered Creation GX costs a single steel energy to use the first effect. Quote, for the rest of the game, your Pokemon's attacks do 30 more damage to your opponent's active Pokemon, end quote. But for an extra water energy, you can take an extra prize card every time you knocked out an opposing active Pokemon. Now, if you're wondering why I'm making such an emphasis on why taking an extra prize card is so important, let me quickly explain. You see, the Pokemon TCG has a delicate system of risk and reward when it comes to playing more powerful Pokemon. Usually, most Pokemon give up 1 prize card when they get knocked out in exchange for either being weaker or being more support focused. Nowadays, in the Twilight Masquerade format, which is the current standard format at the time of recording this video, you can take extra prize cards from Pokemon V, VMAX, V-Star, or Pokemon EX. This is because they are much stronger than single prizers and can easily create entire combos or archetypes all on their own. Recently, a card came out that allowed you to once again take extra prize cards, Iron Hands EX. This Pokemon caused a major controversy due to the extra prize card effect. Some people, myself included, felt that it could easily create a toxic environment in the standard format. And that's exactly what ADP GX was able to do, but on an astronomically higher caliber. Taking extra prize cards is such a big deal because it can quickly warp the delicate system of prize cards, called the prize trade, in such a ridiculous way. With an effect like Altered Creation GX in play, you're effectively turning even the tiniest of single prize Pokemon, like this tiny little Jirachi, into a 2-prize liability, which feels like it sort of ruins the way the game is supposed to be played. It might even feel like cheating to some people. And if you thought that was bad, think about this. Any 2-prize support Pokemon, the most common 3 in ADP's heydays being Dedenne GX, Crobat V, and Eldegoss V, instantly could allow your opponent to take half the prize cards needed to win the game. This singular GX attack effectively warped the entire standard meta at the time to the point where people felt like there was only one solution: join the ADP players or die. Now, after all that, you might be thinking, okay, that's pretty crazy, but you're only doing 180 damage with this deck, right? Wrong. There's one other Pokemon that I've purposely left out of the equation so far: ADP's partner in crime, Zacian V. While not as ridiculously powerful as ADP in a few senses, Zacian was the main attacker past turn 2 in almost every single game. Zacian is a 220 HP Steel-type Pokemon V with the Intrepid Sword ability and the Brave Blade attack. Intrepid Sword is incredibly useful in the first turn of the game going first because it allows you to look at the top 3 cards of your deck and accelerate any Steel energies you find there to Zacian while also allowing you to draw the other cards into your hand. But what's more important is that the Brave Blade attack, for 3 Steel energies, you could do a whopping 230 damage at the cost of not attacking again with Zacian for the next turn. Pairing that with a damage boost from Altered Creation GX, and you have an attacker that can effectively hit for 260 damage nearly every turn. This attack allows you to one-shot even other Tag Team GX Pokemon, like Mega Lopunny and Jigglypuff GX, and most notably, Pikachu and Zekrom GX, one of the powerhouse decks from previous formats. And remember, with the effects of Altered Creation GX, this allowed you to take 4 prize cards instead of 3 in a single attack, ultimately putting you in range of an easy victory. So, with all that being said, it's easy to understand why this power couple was single-handedly strangling the entire metagame with ease, forcing more and more players to join its evil ranks. It was able to do everything a deck could ever dream of doing and more. This quickly made the Team Up to Sword and Shield format bland, unfun, and borderline unplayable. People even started banning the deck entirely from online tournaments, and there were potentially hundreds of players begging the Pokemon Company to ban the card due to its oppressive reign over the meta. In fact, a quick look on PTCG Legends shows that even before Zacian V, ADP had a 30.6% play rate at the 2020 Latin America International Championships, which is about 1.5 times more than the next most popular deck, Mewtwo and Mew GX box. When Sword and Shield and Zacian V became legal for the 2020 Oceania International Championships, ADP's play rate spiked to a play rate of 44.6%, which made it one of the most dominant meta takeovers in the history of the game. As time went on, and more Sword and Shield sets were released, people genuinely began to believe that ADP was going to win the 2020 World Championships. Luckily for the ADP haters, and unluckily for everyone else, 2020 Worlds was cancelled due to the COVID pandemic. As time went on, however, the pure power and massive HP of Pokemon VMAX began chipping away at the Creation Trio's hold on the meta. When the Players' Cup Online Tournament Series took place during the 2020 to 2021 season, it seemed that the new powerhouse VMAX decks had obliterated any chance of ADPZ to thrive for any longer. Shadow Rider Calyrex VMAX and Rapid Strike Urshifu VMAX became the clear best decks in the brand new Team Up to Chilling Reign format, which brought the end to the ADPZ apocalypse. So, why does any of this matter? Why am I talking about it now? And why am I saying that it nearly destroyed the very fabric of the Pokemon TCG? The simple answer is because of the card's legacy, the impact that it left behind on the rest of the game. Although the card itself rotated out of the standard format, alongside the rest of Cosmic Eclipse in late 2021, the game was left with a giant Arceus, Dialga, and Palkia-sized hole to rebuild. Creatures began to drastically scale back on effects that allowed you to do extra damage on certain powerful Pokemon. They also reserved extra prize card effects for smaller and weaker Pokemon to prevent another rampant disruption of the prize trade. That's a big reason why Iron Hands EX requires 4 energy to take an extra prize card, and why it only does a mere 120 damage. And even still to this day, many people complain that it's still too broken of a card, in part due to the shell shock from ADPZ. And yes, I still personally believe that Iron Hands EX could have used a bit more balancing. I actually believe that it's a pretty fair card in this current meta, due to the difficulty or amount of effort it takes for most decks to set up. And I believe that one of the biggest reasons behind this design choice is because of the simplicity that ADP had with Altered Creation GX, which would easily activate its full effect on turn 1 going second. Overall, Arceus, Dialga, and Palkia GX was way too overpowered to be just one card, warping the entire game around itself for over a year. Like I said at the beginning of the video, people still complain about this card and the effects that it had on the Pokemon TCG to this day. And, unsurprisingly, there doesn't seem to be a lot of positive sentiment when this card is brought up. It's a dark relic of a format long gone, and that's where this card should stay. Thank you all so much for watching this video. I had a lot of fun making it, and it took a long time to edit it, but yeah, I hope you guys like this video. I want to make more like kind of documentary style videos again, but let me know what you thought about it, and go check out the Buddy Buddy podcast. I started a new podcast with my friend Henry Simmons. I'll link that in the description of the video. But thank you all so much for watching. As always, God bless, have fun, we'll see you out there, and we'll see you next time. Thank you all so much for watching.